In this demonstration, I'll show how Keyfactor Command version 25.5, Universal Orchestrator version 25.5, and EJBCA Enterprise version 9.5.1 work together to perform a one-click certificate renewal on an NGINX web server. We'll begin with an existing certificate already deployed to the server. We'll initiate the renewal from the command user interface, allow Universal Orchestrator to perform the required automation, and then verify that the updated certificate has been deployed and activated successfully. Throughout the demonstration, we'll validate the certificate directly from Keyfactor Command, from the NGINX hosted application, and from the operating system itself. Before performing the renewal, let's take a quick look at the environment. First, under Certificate Authorities, we can see our integrated EJBCA Certificate Authority Matador Tech issuing CA. This integration allows Keyfactor Command to communicate directly with EJBCA for certificate lifecycle operations. Next, let's look at the certificate template that has been imported from EJBCA. The template defines the issuance policy and certificate characteristics that will be used during enrollment and renewal. On top of that template, we've created an enrollment pattern. Enrollment patterns provide an abstraction layer between users and certificate authority templates. Rather than exposing every CA-specific detail, enrollment patterns allow administrators to define a consistent enrollment experience while retaining the flexibility to change underlying CA configurations when necessary. This approach simplifies certificate requests and standardizes operational processes. Now let's move to the certificate store associated with our NGINX server. This store represents the certificate location being managed by Keyfactor Command. In this example, the certificate path is opt/opt/nginx/staged/lab-nginx01.corp.matadortech.net.crt. You can see that here. Let's view the certificate inventory. So we currently have a single certificate with the subject name CN equals lab-nginx01.corp.matadortech.net. I want you to specifically notice the serial number of that certificate. In this case, the last four are 87DB. We'll use this serial number as our reference throughout the demonstration. To verify consistency across the environment, let's compare what command knows about this certificate with what the application and operating system are actually using. On the left, we have the NGINX hosted web page. The page displays the currently active certificate serial number and validity period. On the right, we have an SSH session connected directly to the NGINX server. Here we can see the active certificate details reported directly by the operating system. Notice that the serial number displayed on the web page matches the serial number reported by the operating system. And both match the serial number shown in Keyfactor Command. This confirms that all three sources are referencing the same active certificate. Now let's initiate a certificate renewal. I'll open the certificate details page. Here we can review additional certificate information, including the renewal option. To begin the renewal process, I'll select Renew. I'll confirm the action and then acknowledge the successful creation of the renewal job. At this point, Command has submitted the renewal request and created an orchestration job. Here we can see the renewal job currently queued for execution. Universal Orchestrator is responsible for carrying out the automation required to complete the certificate lifecycle operation on the target system. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'll restart the Keyfactor orchestration service. This will force immediate processing of any queued work so we don't need to wait for the next polling interval. I'll refresh the jobs view. The queued job has now been processed. Let's review the job history. We can see that the renewal workflow completed successfully. Now let's return to the certificate store inventory. Notice that the certificate serial number has changed. Notice the last four, C85A. This indicates that a newly issued certificate has been received and deployed. The certificate has been renewed successfully through EJBCA and managed through Keyfactor Command. Next, let's validate the running application. Notice that the serial number displayed by the application has been updated. The application is now presenting the newly renewed certificate. And then finally, let's verify directly from the NGINX server. The operating system now reports the same updated serial number. The serial number shown by the operating system matches the serial number shown by the application. And both match the certificate inventory in Keyfactor Command. In just a few clicks, we've renewed a certificate through Command, automated deployment through Universal Orchestrator, and verified activation on a live NGINX application. At no point did we manually generate a CSR, copy certificate files, modify application configuration, or perform a manual certificate deployment. Keyfactor Command provided centralized lifecycle management, EJBCA handled certificate issuance, and Universal Orchestrator automated deployment and activation on the target system. Thank you for watching.